What's up, everybody?
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Music. I want to thank everybody for watching our Christmas video. Right now it has 209 views.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I mean, it's outpaced every one of our other videos. So, yeah, we really appreciate everybody taking the time and watching it.
Yeah, and I know we had a video since then, but we recorded that before then. So we're doing our thank yous now. And most of the views were within the first 2 days of it being out. So thank you. And then Cody and his band released a new song. It's really good. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put a link in the description. You guys should check it out. It's really cool. It's a real his music's cool. It's real like 80s kind of not thrash. It's like 80s metal inspired. It's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but I'm gonna give it a listen.
Yeah. So shout out to Cody. He was one of our participants. So check out our video, check out Cody, check out all the guys in the video. I'll put links in the description. My 7-string's finally done, so I'm going to start writing some more music. I got the first song written and demoed for my next album, so I'm getting started on that.
I don't know if I mentioned in the last video or not, but I did get a new guitar, and I got a RG, I can't remember what model it was.
I think it's 470.
Yeah. But it's real pretty. It's I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a very faint purple to red burst, but it's got like a pearl finish on it. So
we'll insert a picture. I'll put a picture of it in here.
Yeah, it's a real pretty one. Plays real good. It plays very similar to my S, but I'm really excited with it coming along with the album.
All right, let's get started with this. We're listening to Fate's Warning, No Exit today, and that was released March 23rd, 1988. And that was their 4th studio album.
Yeah.
They're on Metal Blade.
Max Norman helped produce and engineer this album. He was one of the producers or engineers on a few Megadeth albums in the middle part of their career, like in particular like Symphony of Destruction and I always do that. I always call it the wrong name.
Yeah.
It's Countdown to Extinction, Euthanasia, a couple of those. So it's kind of interesting to see that some producers work with some of the bands that, you might not expect them to.
It was the last to feature Steve Zimmerman on drums.
Yeah. He actually left the band and became a professional carpenter after carpet layer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after he left the band.
And the album's title is inspired by No Exit, a 1944 play written by French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre?
Sartre.
Yeah. It's French.
Yeah.
It's fucking French. Insert French shit here. Oh, there's also another version. So this is only 6 songs, but there's a 25th anniversary on YouTube Music where it takes the last song and splits it into tracks. Because the last song's like 22 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those albums where the opening track is kind of like a what do you call it, like a prelude. So it's kind of cool. I didn't get into Fate's Warning until a little after Dream Theater. After I got into Dream Theater, and it was because of them why I got into Fate's Warning in the first place.
Because of Dream Theater.
Yeah. I was kind of like researching like progressive metal bands because I really like Dream Theater's sound and their approach to music. And I was like, I wonder if there's other bands like that. And Fate's Warning popped up all over the place. They were in Dream Theater's liner notes and shit like that. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess.
Were they around first?
Yeah. These guys started in 84.
Okay, so not much before them. Because Dream Theater started, 86, 87?
Yeah. I think I mentioned before when we did the Dream Theater video, you know how there's like the big 4 for thrash metal and stuff like that. There was like the big 4 for progressive metal too. And it was these guys, Dream Theater, Symphony X, and Queensryche of all bands.
Yeah, Queensryche.
I don't mind them. They're just...
I think of those 4 bands rather than Dream Theater, I probably like Symphony X the most.
Yeah, Symphony X is pretty
awesome. Michael Romeo, right?
Yeah. See, I chose these guys because they're a little less similar to Dream Theater, whereas Symphony X, it's almost like cut and copy.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I'm not huge on progressive metal. Not that I don't like it, but... I mean, they all sound very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
I listened to this a little bit yesterday. I've heard it before, but like I said, I'm not really into this kind of thing. And the first thing I thought was like, this sounds like Dream Theater with a different singer, especially from that era.
Right.
Like these guys might have been a little bit more.
They're a little edgier, I would say.
Well, I was gonna say a little bit more cut and dry.
Yeah.
where Dream Theater was a little bit more creative.
Right.
But
well, because these guys were heavily influenced by like Iron Maiden. And,
I can hear it.
Yeah. And everybody tried to sound like Jeff Tate from Queensryche when they were singing.
Yeah.
And that's no different with this band. I mean, that's why he's singing so high, well beyond his range.
I was gonna say that was something that I noticed is like he sounds like he's just pushing way too hard, and I wish he would have just kept it down a little bit. Like I don't care for this vocals at all. But
years later, though, he really tamed his voice down, and it sounds great. I mean, there's a few albums like Parallels and Inside Out where he really brought it way down.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't choose one of those albums was just because it's not nearly as aggressive as this album is, and that's kind of why I wanted to hear this one again. There's some very talented musicians in this band too. The guitar player Jim Mateos.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he played with a lot of different bands. He played with Mike Portnoy in OSI.
Yeah.
I want to say he was with him in Transatlantic as well. But Jim Mateos' approach, he's very riffy as opposed to just playing chords and trying to be creative with chord voicings and stuff. He just straightforward riffs.
He was the only consistent member since the group's beginning. He also played in OSI alongside Kevin Moore.
Oh yeah, Kevin Moore from Dream Theater too.
As well as making other appearances, blah, 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 blah. He released 2 solo instrumental albums.
And their lead guitar player, Frank Aresti, it was back then too. They all had corny nicknames too. I think he went by X. And I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he's not. I would say a fair comparison for him in the scheme of progressive music, he'd be like the Kirk Hammett of progressive lead guitar players, in my opinion. Like where he's not like John Petrucci, where he's playing a million notes a second, but he's also not like the worst lead guitar player.
So
ever.
Mateos isn't their lead guitarist?
No, he's they trade off. They're one of those bands where they trade off.
So they have two guitarists basically. Yeah. Guitar 1 and guitar 2.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I can say to you that really drew me to this one was just, to me, how aggressive it sounds, or at least what I was listening to at the time, because I first got this album, I want to say sometime around like 08 or 09.
Yeah. And
just, I wasn't really listening to that aggressive music at the time. I mean, I guess Dream Theater, but I mean, other than that, not really. But this was probably the most in-your-face kind of stuff I was listening to around then. I'm not saying it's not technical, but the production quality does leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and this is more not really thrash, but it's more just heavy metal than progressive.
Right, because I mean, the progressive element to this, I think that's the direction they were going when they made this album, but they weren't quite there yet. God, I put this in my car. It was kind of like when you were talking last week, how
what the Dead Men say.
Yeah, you just kept the album in your car. It was constantly in your CD player. This was in my CD player constantly when I had my old car.
But having said that, I have a 6-disc changer, or had a 6-disc changer in my car. So also, I haven't listened. The only reason I had the CD was because it was part of the pre-order and it was signed. So,
gotcha. But
I was like, oh fuck it, I got a CD player. I'll put it in the car.
Really interesting too. I don't know about when this album came out or not. Like as far as
it came out in 1988, Tim. We already said that.
Well yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was ever.
Just kidding.
I don't think it was ever super popular when it came out. It spent time on the Billboard charts. I think it said it charted at number 191, and it stayed there for a few weeks. This is the only album of theirs that ever did.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure they came out with an album recently, and 2020.
Yeah,
was their last album.
But what I find very interesting though is that not at the time when this album came out, but more recently, I would say like within the last 20 years, there's been a lot of bands that have cited Fate's Warning as influence.
Yeah,
I think the weirdest one was Slipknot.
Well, this album didn't. I mean, it charted, but it reached number 111.
Okay.
On the Billboard 200. It remained in that chart for 13 weeks, so that's pretty good. Right. Longer than any of the band's albums before or since.
Yeah.
So this is their most highest critically acclaimed, and then it was ranked in 2007 by IGN, which is kind of weird. Isn't that the gaming one?
Yeah,
or who am I thinking of? Anyway, number 14 on their list of top 25 metal albums.
I guess to the general crowd, they're very obscure band. So I mean,
well, yeah, and I was looking at like the plays, like I think, and this is their most critically acclaimed album or whatever, and the highest amount of plays that any song on this album has is 500,000.
Yeah.
Or 592,000, which, yeah, that's a lot of plays for a band that not that many people know, but as far as like critically acclaimed albums, it's not very high.
I mean, to me though, I mean, that's really interesting too, that a band like this, very obscure and nobody really knows, it's interesting that there are people out there listening to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, on one hand it's metal, which
Right.
metal never gets any kind of love in the media at all, but and then go even deeper, on the other hand, it's progressive metal, which gets even less.
Right. And even further than that, they're even in the realm of progressive metal, they're not that well known. I mean, it's very interesting to me that they even get heard. There's a documentary, it's really hard to find on YouTube, but they have a documentary when they made their Parallels album, and they were talking about their MTV exposure and stuff like that. This album, I guess, was featured and rotated heavily on Headbangers Ball back in like 88, 89.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being maybe popular in the 80s, but see, that's what kind of sucks about like the plays or whatever on YouTube, because it's just, since it's been on YouTube Music, you know what I mean? Like that's not all-time plays. I'm sure this got quite a bit of play when it came out. It does sound a lot like Iron Maiden.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite songs of this because it's just so...
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of death metal sounding. Like,
see, that's funny because even including their intro, this song has the least amount of plays.
Right.
But that's always the ones that I prefer, is always the ones that, like, the deeper cuts on albums.
The one thing I will give them, though, on this album, there's a lot of abrupt changes on this album. It takes some getting used to with this band, because instead of just kind of making the song flow nice and easy from one part to the next and having transitions and stuff like that, they just abruptly end one part, go into another part, and go back to the, you know, I mean, so it's one of those bands. But
yeah, that's something that I could kind of say too, is like they're, I don't know, maybe they're edgy, I don't know, but they're very abrasive to listen to.
Yeah, and it's very abrasive. But see, I like that. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. That's why there's a certain charm of this band to me.
It's just, for me, I know I've said it almost every fucking, you know, video we did. I don't really listen to vocals, but his voice is like nails on a fucking chalkboard to me. So like I just can't get past it. Like I know they're all really good musicians, and I cannot get past his voice. Like I said, if he would tame it down a little bit, then it'd be fine. But it's like he goes way up there, points where it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right. As far as the super high singing like that, there was a time, I mean, now that I've gotten a little older and stuff, yeah, I can't really take it too much myself. But there was a time when I was younger, I thought that shit was awesome. Like, I'm sitting here going, damn, he can sing, you know, and he can get up there.
I mean, it's impressive. You know, I think it's impressive for somebody to be able to sing that high, but it's just, I don't know, it just, to me, it doesn't really fit.
Right.
It just doesn't have a place with this kind of metal.
Right.
Because it sounds really, just, not really operatic, but it just sounds like, I don't know, it just sounds like he's trying too hard. I guess operatic is the word for it, but way too much vibrato. I don't know. It is impressive. I'm not going to say that he's a bad singer, but I just don't think it fits with the music.
These guys would have been much better served if they would have just stayed a instrumental band. Yeah. Like, if really, in my opinion, all progressive bands from this period, I think they should have just been instrumental bands.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dream Theater, once what's his name?
Oh, James LaBrie
joined the band. Yeah. Then sure, he was a good singer. You know, I think he was a really good fit for that band.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a higher voice in some of those albums,
but he doesn't overuse it.
Yeah.
He doesn't overuse how high he can sing, like this guy, or like, you know, the guy from Queensryche.
Jeff Tate was like, and I'll tell you right now, he's been kind of.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It slows down.
Slows way down. But Jeff Tate's been acclaimed as being one of the better singers in the world, but I don't see it. I really don't. Like,
that's what I mean, though, because like, it's hard to say stuff like that when they're singing over metal, you know, because if he sang over anything else, or, you know, did like a solo a cappella thing or whatever, who knows? Maybe, like, sure, you know, maybe technically or scientifically, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's just, when you hear it in this context,
exactly, I couldn't agree more.
That's what the point I'm trying to get across is like, he's probably a great singer, but in this context, it just doesn't really work.
See, and I think metal does have a place for clean vocals. I mean, some bands can pull it off, you know, and it sounds great. Iron Maiden's one of them.
Yeah.
But
I don't think clean vocals is the word, but just really high.
Right. But in my opinion, I don't think heavy metal is the format for high vocals. I just don't. I mean, it doesn't suit the style, like you said.
Yeah, but at the same time, it depends, because like Dream Theater did it well, Judas Priest did it well.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said earlier, if it's so saturated in the songs and it's like every single song, it's like that. Yeah, I can see the case for it.
So my one example, well, one of my examples is Painkiller.
Yeah, Painkiller.
That whole song, he sings high as fuck, but it works. But he's not like jumping around. Right. He's not using crazy vibrato. Like,
right.
I probably sound like I'm talking shit about the singer. I'm not. I just don't think it fits with this music.
No, I agree, 100%. And I mean, and that's the point I was making, was like, if the entire album like this, where he's singing that high, no. But if you do it once in a while, like Painkiller, when you do it on every few songs or every couple albums or whatever, then it's like, wow. Yeah. But don't do it on every song on every album, because it's just not good. I mean, it just isn't.
This is also probably another example where it's like just a little bit before my time. Yeah. You know, because this came out, you know, just a few years before I was born. Right. But like, I didn't grow up in a time where like high vocals were impressive and you know what I mean. So like, maybe I'm talking out of my ass. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, "What do you mean? His voice sounds great with this music." Okay, well that's fine. I just, you know, I listen to screaming music. Right. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying this.
Well, and it kind of goes to that conversation we had a couple weeks ago where, I mean, it depends on what point in history you're from. Yeah. I mean, you're from a little later of a time, and I think you're used to hearing like lower vocals or guttural vocals in heavy metal.
Well, then there's some other, like, what was that one band we listened to? Was it Angra?
Yeah, Angra.
And like, I can't remember what it was about that band, but I was just like, what the fuck is
so
this?
Off-putting.
Like, I think maybe the production was pretty bad, and like I think the singer just wasn't very good.
Yeah, he was. There was a lot of times when he was way off key, or he would try to use a vibrato, and he would just be way too wide with it, or he would end at either the bottom or the top of the vibrato.
That's right. Yeah,
and it was just. And then he was one of those where he liked to.
That sounds like.
Up.
That sounds like Sabbath.
Yeah,
sounds like Children of the Grave.
Yeah. Like on this song, the long song, it's called Ivory Gate of Dreams, and you can really hear a lot of their influences in this one song.
Well, it's 22 minutes long, so you're probably hear a lot.
So, you know, here he's not so bad, because it's a little more tame. Because like when he's singing within his range, he's not bad. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I agree. When he like, you know, grabs his nutterals and really fucking goes up there.
When he grabs his nutterals, is that what you said?
Yeah.
He's got those, instead of like guttural vocals, he's got those nutteral vocals.
Oh, jeez.
Well, how many different songs is it?
I think it's 7 or 8.
Like I said, they broke it up in the reissue. It is 8.
Yeah.
9, 10. Oh, there's outtakes on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's 8.
Yeah. But it does. I mean, and I'm sure you'll hear it too. There's instances where it just stops and goes to the next part of the song. So like it's going to be interesting. But it does have some sick ass riffs in this song.
It's going to ruin my playlist. It's all right though.
Like this part.
I don't know. I mean, it sucks because like with YouTube, if you listen to one album one time, and then all of a sudden that's your whole playlist. Like I was at work listening to Dokken one day. I listened to one album, and like that was like every like third song on my super mix. I'm like, I like Dokken, but I don't love Dokken. You know, and it's not even Dokken I like. It's George Lynch.
Right. Yeah, George Lynch is nuts. I mean, I really recommend you guys, like, if you want to see a guy who does some wild shit on the guitar.
Yeah, George Lynch is fucking crazy. It's hard for me to listen to breakdowns anymore. Like, Domination ruined it for me. That's the only good one now. Not ruined it, but...
I mean, it's a very simple breakdown, but it slows the entire song. Like, it does its job. It slows the whole song down, and it draws a lot of attention to itself, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. See, like, right there, that high part that should be about the highest he should sing. I think.
I agree.
Because it sounds like he's got a pretty good range, but he doesn't sound like he has a very decent low range.
No.
What is he, like mid to high range?
Yeah. Well, you know what's really interesting about him too is, especially at that time, he was a 3-pack a day smoker.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and he was still able to hit those notes. Like, that's incredible to me. Like, this was always my favorite part of this song. Yeah, I think it's called Quietus. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like, see, now here he sounds great.
Yeah, this sounds really nice. And I wish this was like it.
Yeah. Like, this really
This sounds really nice, yeah.
But again, a very abrupt change coming up and, like, right back to the metal.
Yeah. See, and that's what I mean, like, in, like, modern days with production, like, that wouldn't have been such an abrupt change. Like,
right.
And to me, it didn't sound that abrupt.
No.
You know? But, yeah, I see what you mean. It could have
Yeah.
used some smoothing out, but, I mean, it was the 80s, you know? But this was, like, the tail end of the 80s when, like, you know, production quality was starting to get pretty good. And I don't think this has bad production quality at all, especially for 88. I think it sounds pretty good.
Well, and to be fair, too, I mean, they were on an underground label at the time. Metal Blade kind of got a little bigger a little after this, but at the time...
This one was on Metal Blade.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Metal Blade, they were kind of a lesser record label at the time, too. So the production quality is, like, decent, but it's not, like, outstanding. Like, it's not like... who were some of the big ones? It was like Elektra.
Whoa.
And
yeah.
so, I mean, Metal Blade was alright. I want to say that they did listen to Master of Puppets and stuff like that before this, too. And I want to say they got a little influence from that and threw that in here. But
I hear Iron Maiden more than anything.
I was going to say, I think they were more heavily influenced by Maiden.
Yeah. A lot of progressive metal bands were.
Yeah.
You know, because they were a little bit more, you know, like their themes and stuff like that. I wouldn't call Iron Maiden a progressive metal band, but like you can hear where all these bands got their influence from. Oh yeah. You know.
Well, and Maiden too. I mean, what I really like about them, I think part of their lasting legacy is they had stuff on all their albums for everybody. Yeah. They had their wild, out there in left field kind of progressive-y kind of stuff. They had their more thought invoking, I guess, like their history metal, I guess. Yeah. Good way to put it.
Which I love that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
I really didn't like Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. That's their most progressive album.
That was the one you used to talk about all the time that you liked so much.
It had a couple of good ones on it, and
he used to love that album. He used to talk about it.
Here's the thing.
He used to revere it very highly.
I tried so hard to like that album because I wanted to like that album, and I just couldn't. Yeah. Oh my god, like it was bad.
Iron Maiden, after Somewhere in Time.
Yeah,
that was a really good album too, but that was another one where kind of like this, his voice just so that's when he started just really trying to outdo himself and just went a little bit too far with it. The people that are into this music, more power to you.
Yeah, it's a marathon.
It's not that I don't have the attention span. It's just I don't want to listen to a 22-minute long song that's broken up into 7 parts. To me, it's like just make it into 7 songs.
Right.
Especially because they sound so different.
Right.
Other than these videos that we do, I don't honestly have time to listen to a song that's longer than like maybe 10 minutes.
Right.
You know, I have a pretty decent drive to work, but you know, I don't want to spend a third of my drive listening to one song. You know?
And I agree. I mean, it's just. I'll be honest, it's not even the attention or anything like that. It's patience. I just don't have the patience for it.
Yeah, well, I get music ADD really bad.
Right. I think it's pretty typical. You want to listen, not you in particular, but most people, they want to listen to a variety of songs on a long drive. They don't want to listen to the same band. They don't want to listen to the same song for a long length of time. They want to hear a variety of different things because it stimulates your mind while you're driving.
Every part of this song is so drastically different. Like, what would have been wrong with just having,
I agree,
14 tracks?
There's a lot of bands out there where they do that. When they have their long songs, they'll break it up into tracks so that way you can skip it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about this song, it's long, but like I said, every part of the song sounds different. So, like, if you're listening to the whole album, it doesn't really sound like it's one song, you know? But that's if you're listening to this whole album. If you want to just listen to a part of this song, you got to find it.
Right.
Or listen to the 25th anniversary edition.
This is a great example of this band right here. How a person can kind of get in their mind, because like kind of where this choice came from. We've been listening to some thrash recently, some heavier music and stuff like that. It's just really interesting how a person, like in my case, I'm sitting here listening to those, and I'm like, that kind of reminds me of Fate's Warning a little bit. Maybe I'll pick a Fate's Warning album next week. And
I like this part.
It is pretty cool. But I'm sitting here like, okay, well they sound, in my mind, they sound a little similar to Trivium. And I'm sitting here going, okay, well they kind of got
I could hear it.
Yeah, I was like, they got some riffs that are similar. They got some ideas that are similar.
Especially like the one we did recently with the Crusade.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely like you can hear a clear Iron Maiden influence in both of these albums, or both of those albums. Yeah.
But I think that's the thing too, is it really illustrates how a person listens for something in the music. The similarity I hear is in the guitars and the overall rhythm, the drums and stuff. Yep. Totally ignored the vocals.
Yeah.
Where
most people would be like, this doesn't sound anything like Trivium.
Right.
And it's like, well, you got to listen to anything but the vocals.
Right.
To hear the comparison. Especially with like the guitar harmonies and...
Yeah.
That was a huge thing Maiden did, and they were probably probably not the first, but one of the first like ones that made it popular.
Yeah. Like this outro I think is so cool. Like
yes, we're finally hitting the outro, and it's still got 2 minutes left.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Me personally, I would have layered it a little more, and I would have made some harmonies in this part and stuff like that.
But again, that's kind of, you're at the mercy of the recording studio at that point, because I don't know if they recorded it to tape, then that's,
they probably
and
did.
If they were as small as a label as you said they were, then they probably didn't want to put the money in for a bunch of studio time and editing and all that.
Right.
So that was Fate's Warning. And what's it called?
No Exit.
No Exit. Hope you enjoyed it. It was fun. I thought it was cool to listen to it. I haven't heard that in it's probably been at least 10 years.
Yeah,
I've never listened to it on my own.
Right.
So
I haven't listened to it in a while myself. It's been at least 5 years or so for me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, on this listen of it, I didn't get the same reaction now as I did back then either. Yeah. Like I said, I'm kind of more in line with how you felt. I was like, I'm really not sure why I was so into this when I got it.
Yeah.
But
well, as you get older, your tastes change, and but I can appreciate it for what it is. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the vocals, but I'm not saying that he's a bad singer. I'm saying I don't think it fits with the music.
Right.
There's two different things, and take that for what it is, or for whatever you want. I don't care. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, you guys have a good week.